Hi there, I'm Professor Juris, and I wanted to make you a quick video about safety in the darkroom and safety in your home when using photographic supplies and chemicals. The first thing I'd like to talk about would be at home, and if you noticed, I have my two dogs here. If you have any pets or you have young children or even a significant other that might like to go through your supplies or something, you need to be very careful with that. The photographic chemicals are dangerous if you would ingest them, if you would drink them. So especially I think with little children, if you have little children at home and you're using these chemicals, you want to make sure that they are locked up and put in a safe storage place between use. That's probably the most important thing about this video. I had a student years ago that kept coming in with a brand new box of paper and saying that it was fogged and that Kodak was responsible for putting out bad paper, which is hilarious, but turns out that her little boy was opening up the box of paper and looking in it all the time, so he was fogging her paper. So don't take that for granted about people being curious and looking at your stuff. It's really important that you lock everything up and keep it away from people since you'll be doing this at home. On another note, a friend of mine from college has a master's degree. I talked to a little while ago, recently had his dog at the emergency clinic because his dog ate rat poison, and the dog ate the rat poison underneath the sink, and he forgot to close the sink the door that goes underneath the sink one time, and the dog ate it and ended up costing him, $1,000, and the dog is okay, but it's common sense on most of these things. You just cannot leave these things laying around, I guess, is the bottom line, and you need to be safe yourself when you're working with it. So I would suggest that to start out with, you go online and you download all the material safety data sheets that go along with all the photographic chemicals, and read them and see what they are. And then probably the next important point is that you protect yourself when you're working with these chemicals. To start out with, I might say that when you're working, you might want to use a pair of these safety goggles that would protect your eyes in case you splash any of the chemicals in your eyes. And the safety goggles are actually better than safety glasses. Now, if you only have safety glasses, then that's better than nothing, but the safety goggles are really good because the liquid chemicals splash, and sometimes with these just glasses, the chemicals can go over the top of them and so forth, where these have a rubber seal and will protect you from getting chemicals in your eyes. Also, make note when you're working at home of where your faucet is in the home, and being able to, if you do get something in your eye, if say you had chemicals on your hand for some reason, you should be wearing rubber gloves, but if you had chemical on your hand and you rubbed your eye, you need to wash your eye out. And you need to wash it out for probably like 10 minutes. So you need to get under the faucet and just keep irrigating your eyes if you get anything in your eyes for at least 10 minutes. As I mentioned, rubber gloves. You should always wear rubber gloves when working with any of these photographic chemicals, and also use a pair of tongs to get the paper, to get the photographic prints in and out of the chemistry. You do not want to stick your hand in the chemicals. If you've had any chemistry classes, you understand that chemicals can absorb through your skin. So by putting your hands in chemicals, for example, selenium toner, the selenium is a heavy metal and it'll stay in your body till you're dead. So if you're constantly working with the chemicals and you're constantly sticking your hand in, it's just going to build up in your system and you're going to get selenium poisoning. So you need to, don't subject yourself to the chemicals. Use tongs to get the prints in and out, and use rubber gloves. And then the other thing that you probably want to do when you're mixing chemicals at home, since you might be developing film and stuff at home now, you're going to be mixing your own chemicals, and a lot of those chemicals especially are going to come in powdered form, like D7 Kodak D76 developer. It comes in a 1 gallon powdered form. So when you're using that, you want to make sure that you have a mask on so that you don't breathe in any of the powdered dust that comes out of the packet when you pour it into the container that you're mixing it in. And I have a little tip for you also for mixing. If you pick up one of these jars, and you can get one of these at like Myers or Walmart, it's a 1 gallon jar. This is extremely a good thing to mix chemicals in. And what I actually do when I do this is I would have my pack of D76 and cut the top off with a pair of scissors, have my mask on. But then something else that also helps is if you use a cardboard box and you put a cardboard box over the top when you're pouring the chemicals in. And that way what happens is when you pour that in there, all that dust that seems to come up of the chemicals comes up under this area, and it'll keep you from breathing it in, also help protect your mask even. So you want to do that and then dispose of that box accordingly when you're done, or save it for the next time in a safe location. What I do then is I actually take this jar and I'll put a piece of saran wrap over the top of it once I have my chemicals inside of it, and then I will close the jar tightly, and then I can just shake it like that. And that allows me to mix the chemicals fairly safely. And then again, you want to store those and make sure you label them correctly so that you know that there's in there. And also mark on this jar with like a Sharpie chemical jar so that somebody else doesn't use it to make like sun tea or something, you know, in your house. Once you start using these things for chemicals, you don't want to use them for anything else. And you know, make sure you store this stuff correctly. Like I said, read the material safety data sheets, understand the chemicals that you're working with, and then make sure that you're you know, storing them in a safe location. Now another thing, point I just thought of is that when I'm doing that, you know, I'm here on a table on my in my backyard, and my dogs are around and stuff, so I would never be mixing chemicals here. When I mix my chemicals, I actually mix them in the front of the house, and my yard is fenced in so the dogs can't get down there, and they're never allowed in the front of the yard. But that way, if there is any chemical dust or something, and it would be minuscule if there was, but if there is any, you know, it would be going down where the pets are not at. And another thing you could do is take and put a sheet of parchment paper down, or a sheet of butcher paper down, and put this jar on top of it, and then simply throw that away after you've, you know, poured this out and mixed this up. And if you do spill some of this on the ground, get the garden hose out and rinse it all off. And one more point is that if you are working at home and you have a septic system, if you're on city water, you can just run a lot of water down the drain after you mix this stuff and you clean up. But if you're on a septic system, you never want to dump any of these photographic chemicals down your septic system. They will kill the bacteria, the good bacteria that's in your septic system that helps it digest all the waste. So you don't want to do that. You'd want to find another way to dispose of your used photographic chemicals and so forth as you're doing these processes. So I hope that helps. I think I covered everything, and if you like the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.